Noctie is desperate to try to get my dark square bishop, which makes a lot of sense. It's my pride and joy, as we mentioned already. So yeah, it's not fun. I don't want to lose my dark square bishop, but I don't see how we can save it. Hello everyone, International Master Emil Stefanov back at it again with weekly scenario number 3 for 2026. If you want to practice this position for yourself, please make sure to follow the link in the description. Let's get started. Alrighty, we are continuing our thematic on material imbalance. As we can clearly see from this position, we have 3 minor pieces versus a queen and an extra pawn for the opponent. So what's happening is black has 10 points of material while we have 9 points of material. However, even though we have 1 less point of material, the minor pieces usually manage to work together as a team and overpower the queen. The essential ways in which we manage to outplay the queen with our minor pieces is making sure everything's protected. If everything's protected, the queen can't really do anything. So what we can see in this position as pluses for us is this lovely bishop. This bishop is a beautiful bishop. It's very powerful. It is on a beautiful diagonal and a beautiful square, controlling a lot of squares in the opponent's camp. Also keeping our king safe, because we did earlier in the game apparently had played e4 and f4, because this comes from the Sicilian Najdorf, the Lipnitzky Attack. So because we've played f4, this is a very beautiful bishop. It keeps our king fully safe, and we have some potentials with rook g3 to somewhat attack the king on the king side. Now, what are our negatives? Our negatives in this position are that the bishop on b3 and the knight on c3 are not really participating, right? They're there, their own squares that are well covered, and they are attacking central squares. You know, if black could play f6, e5, that would be great, but obviously the d5 pawn will be hanging. So they are on good squares, protected, but they're not attacking enemy squares. So what we're gonna do for our first move is we're gonna play pawn to a4. And really that idea with pawn to a4 is that afterwards, what we really want to do is we're not trying to take. Obviously, we offered Noctie to take back on a4, which would have allowed our knight to jump in, maybe has some potential to go to c5, maybe to b6. Maybe our bishop could have also improved. But what we're really trying to do is play, if Noctie doesn't take, is play a5. Because if we take, we're opening up a file for the opponent, and Noctie will utilize that file very quickly. Winning the extra pawn currently is not the objective. What the objective is to make sure that we have things under control on the queen side. Now, after this move a5, as we can see, what that allowed us is we locked the file. We gave our bishop a lovely square on b6 in the future in case it needs it. And now, because we've stopped this future idea from black to play a5, a4, or b4, now what we could do is we could improve the square of our knight. So what we could do is we could play knight e2, and from here, the knight can go into a more active square. Also, in the meantime, we're preparing c3 and potentially bishop c2, trying to bring that bishop back into the game. And for that particular reason, as you can see, Noctie says, no, you do not get to play c3 because your bishop on b3 is going to be hanging. Now, this is an interesting moment because Noctie's trying to infiltrate. Our pawn is a little weak, so maybe we don't want to move the rook quite yet, but the queen is going in the wrong direction, which does mean we could start posing some problems on this side of the board. Obviously, rook g3 will force g6. All the dark squares will be weakened, which is a great thing for us. We really want to be able to attack Noctie on the dark squares. I kind of like that. I kind of like this rook g3. Just maybe force g6 and then maybe go back to d3 and just sort of figure out how exactly are we slowly but surely improving our position. So I quite like that. I quite like that. So yeah, I'll go ahead and play it. I'll play rook g3. Good move. Very happy with that. Just hit the pawn on g7, right? Just if g6, all the dark squares are lost. Yeah, as you can see, every dark square on the king side is lost for Noctie. So now Noctie can't really do anything with like f6, e5 plans. And really what we want to be careful here is not to play bishop c3. And the reasoning is we just walk into rook c3. Now, obviously we win an exchange. However, it is more crucial that we keep this bishop for as long as we can, because all the dark squares are extremely weak. We're just, one knight away, knight jump away from some checkmate, or, some crazy tactic with rook h7, rook h3, rook h8. So definitely want to keep the bishop for as long as possible. Now the problem is our a5 pawn's a little sensitive. So if we were to defend it, then we're pulling our bishop from the main square that it wants to be on. But if we play rook d1 to kind of keep the d2 square under control, then we lose the a5 pawn. It's not super obvious what we need to do right now. But what I can say is I think that we start by controlling the access point. So we just kind of see what Noctie does. So I don't think rook d3 is a mistake in any sense. We're just controlling the entry square, right? Queen d2 is not a problem anymore. And what Noctie's trying to do is obvious. Maybe just go for rook c2, really try to get activity on that side of the board. Okay. Well, now we're controlling the entry square. We could also play bishop to e5 and then really put our knight on this lovely d4 square, which I actually really like. So I'm going to go for it. I think we could play bishop e5 and just get the knight to d4. As I mentioned, our bishop is lovely. So Noctie goes all the way back, queen e7, logical, trying to make sure that f6 is a move that Noctie could play. I wonder if we could have played g4, g5. I know it was a little weakening, but maybe that was also a plan that we could have initiated. Okay, nothing to fear. We play knight d4 as intended. f6, it will happen. We can't really... Ooh, okay, Noctie's trying to be very tricky. Okay. So essentially Noctie's saying, okay, take my rook because I'm going to get a tempo on your rook. And then you don't have a square for your bishop on e5. So very tricky by Noctie. And if we play knight f3, I'm assuming f6, bishop d4, and then rook takes d4 is really what Noctie wants to do. Noctie's desperate to try to get my dark square bishop, which makes a lot of sense. It's my pride and joy, as we mentioned already. So yeah, it's not fun. I don't want to lose my dark square bishop, but I don't see how we can save it. If we take bishop c4, because we then get hit with our rook. So yeah, definitely have to play knight f3 to allow the bishop to come back to d4 and just hope for the best afterwards, right? Okay, so f6, bishop d4. Obviously Noctie will take it, but let's find rook e4. Okay, Noctie's doing everything possible, as mentioned, to just get rid of that bishop. That's how good that bishop is. That's a testament to how good it is. f6 is actually now a threat because g3, f4 will be hanging, so I might have to play g3 to really stop that, but I don't like that at all. Rook e1 could be a move, but f6 anyways. Yeah, it's really annoying, yeah. This rook c4, just trying to sacrifice the rook. As mentioned, the minor pieces are strong because they're controlling a lot of squares, and Noctie's rooks are not really doing anything. So that's kind of what Noctie's trying to do, is just give up the rook for a minor piece and really have a position that Noctie could freely enjoy. I'm gonna go g3 just to safeguard f4, as I already mentioned. And then obviously the king is a little bit exposed, but I'm not worried about it. h6, okay, so give some space. I think Noctie doesn't want to play f6 because the moment it does, this bishop is going to become more powerful. So I think Noctie is taking its time, considering if it wants to really play that, if it really wants to commit. Now rook e1, the problem is we're now making a threat. If we were making a threat, I would for sure play rook e1, but unfortunately we're not making a threat. So then the question becomes, what do we do? Obviously we could go back to c3. That seems like a logical continuation. Or back to d4, that also seems fine. We're already prepared to give up the bishop for the rook. So yeah, our knight would jump back on d4, so that would be fine. We could engage with c3 and just maintain our position, maintain d4 control. But we do walk into b4 and yeah, kind of opening up the b file, and don't really like that. let's go bishop d4. I don't know. Yeah, just reinforce everything, keep everything safe, and of course g5 is an idea, but I didn't really believe in it. I have a feeling that it's just really aggressive and over pushing, and maybe we have some countermeasures we can take. For example, I can go king h1 and just allow you to take. I don't see a problem with that because, again, Noctie's trying to go for the attack against me, but at the same time, it's opening up its own position. So now rook d4, I'm assuming, has to happen. Otherwise, I'm just breaking through with rook g1. Yeah, okay, king h7. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Rook g1, rook g8, trying to salvage things like that. But no, I mean, I just feel that we have a dominating position, and it's just somewhere there that we can win. Just have to see it. We just have to see it. That's all it is. We just have to see it. Do we play c3 and bring the bishop back? I think that's a logical continuation. Just bring the bishop back. I have a very funny line. If c3 rook g8, I think we play knight g5 and then bishop c2. It looks funny, but it's not checkmate, unfortunately. Rook g1, rook g8, and then rook d2 and try to do the same thing. That could be possible. That's a possibility for sure. But with one less pair of rooks, it becomes harder for our minor pieces to really sort of combine and have the presence that they do. When we have the rooks, it's more scary for the opponent. So, yeah, I like c3 for that purpose of just bringing the bishop back. But yeah, I don't quite see it because c3, rook f4, bishop c2. I mean, there's a lot of discovered checks, but c3, I'm assuming Noctie plays rook g8, bishop c2, and I guess rook f4, and my discovered check is really nothing because there's f5, but I guess we control the dark squares. Yeah, it is chaotic. I'm not quite sure how we proceed here currently. I'm gonna play c3 because it looks logical to me to try to bring this bishop back into the game. Maybe there's potential to bring it with f5, but e5 is a little too much. Rook g1, the reason I don't like it is we trade rooks, and I don't really achieve anything as far as I can see. So that's why I like c3. Just bring the bishop back. I really love when I'm on a roll of excellent moves. It really makes me feel like, okay, I'm playing to the best of my abilities and making sure that I'm able to utilize my advantage properly. So rook g8, as mentioned, not worried because bishop c2 is a move. And we're setting up this trap. So if rook e2, rook d2, that's my trap. So f5, logical. And really what happens after f5 is that I could play rook e3, and we have this domination on the dark squares. I know I lose the f4 pawn. Actually, now I don't have to lose the f4 pawn. I just realized I could play bishop e5 now and really just make sure that I'm not losing anything. I could also play bishop e3. That's kind of a dealer's choice. Maybe put the knight on e5. Because bishop e5 controls more diagonals this way, but it does allow rook e2. Hits my bishop. Although I do have rook d2. You have rook g2. I take. I have bishop d3, you take, but then rook g1. Okay, so that's basically the problem, yeah? For Noctie, that rook g1 move is really... Let's go for it. Okay, it's a great move, so we take it. Yeah, basically rook e2, rook d2 is my idea. Oh, not to mention I have knight d4. Oh, I just realized I have knight d4 as well. That's a cool little trick. That's a cool little trick. Just attacking the e2 rook while defending the c2 bishop. And then preparing some rook h3 in the future, yeah? But my move rook d2 also makes sense. I'm not quite sure which one I go for right now. We do have to be careful with some d4 as well. I'm just realizing that. Oh, yeah, we have to be careful with some d4 and opening up the diagonal. Yeah, that is actually scary. Actually, Noctie had that on the previous move, and just trying to get the queen there. That could have been scary. I guess that's why we played knight d4. Yeah, just to kind of lock that option of getting checked on that diagonal. Rook h2, we're almost checkmate, but I promise we're not, because after king h2, queen h4, we have rook h3 and queen f2. We have... Actually, wait. We are getting checkmate. What? Oh, I missed checkmate. Okay, I guess we run it back, huh? I could have sworn I was preventing checkmate. Whoops. And why did Noctie say it was a good move? I'm basically getting checkmate. Rook h3, queen f2, king h1, queen g2, checkmate. Let's run it back. Let's run it back. Rook d2 then. I'm so confused. I was like, oh, I'm just... Yeah, but now d4, right? Queen b7 is such an annoying threat. Or queen h4, but with queen f2 incoming. Yeah, this is kind of the problem of the minor pieces when the rooks disappear from the board. It becomes harder. But here, yeah, without a rook, it's really hard. Yeah, it's really, really hard. I just wish my bishop was slightly better positioned. Maybe we have to go back a little bit. I know I was making excellent moves, but at some moment, I think we just kind of probably could have played slightly better. Yeah, probably slightly better there. Yeah, we have to figure out where we went wrong. Because now rook g1, king g1, queen e1, knight f1. Our king is safe, but then queen e2. We do lose the pawn. Actually, we lose our bishop, don't we? Yeah, our bishop is... We can play bishop b3, queen b2, bishop d1, but yeah, it's a massacre there, and we're losing another pawn. Again, if we had a way to keep the rooks, we could put up pressure. But yeah, no, let's go back. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm just realizing, yeah, that this rook is really annoying. So actually, let's go back a lot. Until when that rook came to c4, that's where we really kind of gave away this potential. And maybe we play bishop f6. Let's not allow f6 to be a problem that we have to deal with. e5, that's fine. Can always take fe5, but then there's rook f6. So okay, but f6 there, I have bishop d5. Okay, so take f6, there's bishop d5. Okay, so very crucial. Yeah, because the knight's hanging, so we have to be... Whoa, okay. Noctie just gives me the d5 pawn. What's going on? This rook on c6 is hanging. So, yeah, king f... But then I'm taking this with tempo. I feel like Noctie just... Oh, queen c5, but then bishop d4. And I think I have too many pieces now. I think Noctie misplayed this, yeah. Because now all I have to worry about is just... how do I reposition my pieces? Like, how do I manage to sort of, yeah, for example, here, rook d2, that's just very basics, right? Like, protect this, right? And then everything is guarded. The moment I play c3, there's nothing that can be lost. So, logically, Noctie plays b4. But we can still play c3. I don't see a problem with it. Just to play bc3. And, I mean that bishop is an establishment in and of its own. So, yeah, knight g3. No, it's too easy. I think Noctie just kind of played e5 trying to open up the position, and it still did what it wanted. It gave up one of its rooks for one of my minor pieces, but the problem here is my minor pieces are... I mean, I kept my bishop on d4, positions opened up. My king is a little exposed, but this king in particular is really exposed now, and I have both rooks to try and win this game with, so... Yes, I probably play CB and then get the bishop to C3 and then just kind of utilize that as a starting platform. So like if CB and then... Oh, wait, what did I miss? I thought I'm... Oh, okay. So, yeah, I'm just missing... I thought rook F1, but there's queen E3, so I guess I just missed that, yeah. Okay, yeah. That is the plan, though. That is the plan. So let me go back. Yeah, essentially, that's kind of what we want to do. So, because if we place the bishop on c3, that allows the rook to be really active. So, that's kind of what I wanted. We could start with f5 and do the exact same thing. Just, yeah, we could start with f5 and then do the exact same thing. Where we play bishop c3. And then afterwards, yeah, we have everything we want. namely the rooks are going to be extremely powerful. So we're covering this. King will go to h1, no problems. Covered on the first rank. And okay, Noctie's trying to be very aggressive as per usual, but I think all of these openings are just going to end up benefiting me more than they'll benefit Noctie. So don't blunder anything, and believe knight f6 is pretty good. Hit the rook, still covered on the back rank. Rook e6, logical. But now we've gotten into a point where we could even give up the 2 minor pieces for the rook, and we're still going to be winning with the 2 rooks. So I think my most urgent problem is going to be king safety. But we could play rook d1 as well. Just allow this to happen. Just let it rip. And we just have a lot of checks we can initiate against the enemy king. So yeah, that looks pretty good. And should be winning. We can also just drop the knight back. We're in no urgency to do so. Like we could play knight h5, knight g3. Just get it back and then threaten rook f1, which is great. So yeah, queen c5, but okay, that allows rook f1 check. And now king has a tough call to make. King g6. Okay. Again, we could reroute this knight this way. That looks pretty good, but we can also just do the same through g3. We have plenty of possibilities, but yeah, as long as everything's covered, there's really nothing that we're blundering, then we're just going to slowly win this. So this rook probably would like to be on f2, and just so we can trade these rooks down, and then h3, king h2 is always a way that we can safeguard our king. So we could just play h3. Our position is totally winning. We have the 2 extra pawns. Noctie has no counterplay, and we could slowly improve the position. We could start with rook f6, which Noctie says it's a mistake. I guess we just had a winning move somewhere. I guess we missed that, but either way, okay, this is just winning. So I don't think it was so much a mistake as just probably there was a better winning move. But either way, we managed to win the pawn. So yeah, I had to take back and find the better square for my bishop, and from there we managed to win. And then we're gonna play knight c3 and queen a2 checkmate. So that's it. Good luck in your games. Make sure you keep the pieces protected, and make sure that whenever a rook is offered for one of your minor pieces, you think about if you really want to take it. And if you do, try to keep your dark square bishop. That was the pride and joy of our position. And if you really can't, then try to refocus on improving your other 2 minor pieces, namely the bishop on b3 and the knight on c3. Good luck.